We have Nausea. Scans show little of value on Nausea, aside from sizable copper deposits near the equator. The only landmark of note is the wreck of a Krogan freighter, a remnant of attacks on the system during the latter half of the Krogan Rebellions. Krogan made it all the way this close to Thessia. That is, yeah, concerning. Of course, that is what led to the deployment of the Genophage, the Krogan Rebellions in general. How the Krogan were starting to get quite aggressive toward places that have already been colonized by other species. Then we have Tricholon. Tricholon is a small rock planet that was home to a centuries-old Asari venture called the Tiri Super Collider. This massive particle accelerator encircled the entire planet at an orbital distance. When the political sea change among the Asari republics led to funding cuts, human scientists stepped in with the credits and labor to finish the project, renaming it the Susskind Super Collider. It came online just days before the Reapers invaded the galaxy. Oh. Some kind of timing, right? When the Reapers entered the system, they dispatched a swarm of capital ships toward Tricholon, treating the Super Collider as a greater threat than the Asari naval fleet stationed at Sandvase. That is very peculiar. They blasted it apart, sending debris hurtling to Tricholon's surface. Several ships carrying Super Collider staff escaped before the Reapers hit. That, I don't know, it's not a direct reference to it, but I feel like that could be an allusion to the whole dark energy plotline that, again, once upon a time was a larger component of the overarching narrative of the trilogy, but then became a more minor aspect after some revisions. I'm tempted to scan that. Next, Zillium? Not to be confused with Ilium. Zillium is the hydrogen-helium gas giant once provided fuel for ships flying to and from Sandvase. Seems like that might be the primary place of interest here. The equipment here was noted for its efficiency. Businesses flourished in its orbital stations, which promised roomy bunks, hydroponic food, and attention from charming Asari hostesses while ships refueled. These stations are now blasted metal. There's no fuel, aid, or comfort here. Oh, yeah, so for whatever reason, this system hit really hard by the Reapers. Even with Thessia very close by, sounds like this one's gotten more attention. Which, again, brings me back to the whole theory of the whole dark energy thing. Maybe once upon a time, in an alternate universe, the Reapers were particularly concerned about dark energy, and so they wanted to make sure they went straight for Tricholon, even if that meant sending less forces to the larger settlements. Here is Sandvase. The hospitable nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, temperate climate, and sprawling wilderness of Sandvase made the planet a popular tourist destination. Large tracts of untamed forest surrounding the capital drew in millions of sightseers, game hunters, and biologists. The Asari, mindful of how rapid expansion has damaged the ecologies of other planets, restricted settlements. After destroying the colony's navy and anti-air defenses, Reapers landed infantry units to subjugate the local population. Destroyers keep watch in orbit, the capital ships apparently elsewhere fighting bigger battles. Population is just under 1 billion, so yeah, it's a pretty big settlement. I mean, for non-homeworld planets, it's usually at the highest. I don't know. Pretty rare we see in the 100 millions. Definitely very rare for us to see anywhere near 1 billion in that case. That also might be worth a scan. Then we have Ilmnos. The once rich thorium reserves of Ilmnos have been mined out mostly by remote Asari drones that operate well enough in the planet's heat and trace atmospheric pressure. There's little reason to visit this harsh world unless further deposits are discovered. Yeah, I mean 183 degrees Celsius, we've seen worse. Trace atmosphere, though, does make for some things being a little more difficult. So yeah, we have not yet heard any little pings elsewhere around the galaxy. We've not tried scanning any planets, but I feel like it's Sandvase and Tricholon that are most intriguing to me, so maybe if we try scanning here, we might get both of them.
Signal confirmed.
Oh. And yes, it is Tricholon, and, well, unfortunately, this bar is pretty full, so one more scan will definitely get the Reaper attention. But we can scan this place, and in doing so, pick something up. In this case, it's Asari Engineers, a war asset. So we'll take it. Take all the war assets we can get, right? And let's see, 50% assets recovered. So I suspect, since that was on a planet, that this other one is somewhere in empty space. Let's do a little bit of a search here, because as we were saying, one more scan will definitely get the Reaper's attention. I'd love if it wasn't right next to where the Reaper's going to spawn in. That would be lovely. Like right here would be the worst. Fortunately, I don't appear to have jinxed it. Not this time. On a later occasion, perhaps. And we're listening for that sound effect. That little blip. It tells us there's something here. Usually it's fuel. And after having spent a ton of fuel to get here, that's just for nausea. After having spent a ton of fuel to get here, it would be kind of significant to restock on that. Otherwise, it'd be pretty tough to make it to all these systems without doubling back to refuel. And buy the refueling stuffs. That's something. I don't think I've heard anything. Something? No? I don't think I've heard anything yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. It is kind of close to the Reapers, unfortunately. So let's plan our escape route here. In fact, let's save again, because if you do get caught, it's game over, and that's no good. Yeah, it was like right here. There. And unfortunately, the location the Reapers spawn in gets obscured when you leave the galaxy map like that, but they're like right there. So I think we might dart downward once we get this. It is 500 fuel, which is enough to fully restock. Let's run. So now we at least see where they're coming in from over there. Okay, we don't really want to go that way. We'd like to go that way.
Evasion successful.
Okay, so the next system is pretty darn far away. In this direction, I believe. Yep, but I'm hoping, well, with us being on full fuel, we can still make this trip. And that was, I believe, the last asset in that area. That was almost half of a fuel tank right there. This system, at least, looks comparatively much smaller. First, we have Egolic. The system's only gas giant has rings laced with the faintest traces of Element Zero dust, likely from an extrasolar asteroid pulverized by a collision with the planet's moons. Collecting and refining the Ezo in dust form is a long and costly process. The Elkos Combine sought the mineral rights to Egolic from the Matriarchs on Thessia, but the Reaper invasion stopped any deal from going through. The equipment here is undamaged by the Reapers. The attack on Neokal likely taking priority. Okay. So, once again, Reapers being very deliberate with where exactly they're making their moves. Here's Krala. After half the crew of a survey ship died in a freak accident, the ship's captain named this desert planet Krala after an ancient Asari demon of misfortune. Krala is said to delight in thwarting carefully laid plans at the last moment, tipping apparent success toward utter disaster. Reminds me of Loki. Let's see. Legend says she only targets those whose plans are long in the making, an obvious warning against hubris for a race whose plans tend to stretch over centuries. This is true. The Asari, well, with their roughly 1,000-year lifespans, are known for having very long-term perspectives, very long-term plans, and so that would be understandable that Krala would be that much more of an intimidating goddess? Is technically a goddess? demon? No, demon of misfortune. Because, yeah, you know, if you've been trying to work toward something for several hundred years, only for it to get thwarted at the last second, that would kind of stink. That would, you know, just, like, maybe kind of sort of a little bit stink. Here's Nayakal, which is the one we were hearing about before. Nayakal is a lush planet with an overabundance of photosynthetic life, leading to oxygen concentrations greater than that on most garden worlds. This is tolerable for a few hours, but soon oxygen toxicity becomes a real danger. Asari colonies here use breathers and sealable buildings. Nayakal's economy centers on agribusinesses and biotechnology. Many genetically modified crops have their origin here. Aware that the Reaper's plan of attack is to bombard industrial cities and enslave population centers, Nayakal's soldiers and civilians alike have retreated to the planet's impenetrable jungles. Hopefully it's impenetrable even for the Reapers. A terrestrial guerrilla war may not be enough to push the Reapers off the planet, but it has proven successful at immobilizing the enemy and forcing them to commit more resources here for little gain. I suppose that's still a win. Wow, okay. Oh, no, that's a million. For a second I thought that was a billion, but no. 7.3 million, which is not a terribly big number. Certainly not compared to what we were seeing in the other system, but a pretty old colony. Well, I mean, I suppose the Asari were really the first of the major Citadel species to establish themselves big time, so of course this is not their homeworld, but dating as far back as 177 CE, they were already colonizing other worlds. It is hot, and it is relatively high pressure, gravity a little bit high, but I suppose it's still livable. So that's another place that would be tempting to scan. Did we probably say, well, the whole, like, demon of misfortune thing, maybe that's worth scanning. Maybe we'll just be plagued with misfortune if we scan it. I don't know. Then we have Thisione. Thisione's surface is a desert of lime streaked with sodium banks. The only real features of note are empty calderas scattered around the fault lines, suggesting Thisione was once more geologically active. While average temperatures are near habitable, really, Thisione has not retained a proactive or protective atmosphere, and thus a third-tier world unlikely to be terraformed. Yeah, the lack of atmospheric pressure. But temperature, I mean, 55 degrees Celsius is hot, but theoretically possible. Make that work. So if we scan here, we might be able to hit both these planets. It's kind of close. It might be our best bet, though. Trying to go for a 2-for-1, that might also be possible to scan. Yeah, I think it's possible. Like, this is a small system, so I think our perception is a little bit warped by that. I'm pretty sure we have enough range to scan either both of these or both of these. I think our scan might go further on the x-axis than it does on the y-axis, though. Maybe I'm making that up. But yeah, we haven't heard anything from exploration, but why don't, like, we're super greedy, try scanning here. I don't think we're gonna have enough range to get all these, but we're gonna try. We can get all of those. Oh my goodness. That was a lot of Reapers. They paid attention to us. Let's check out this random spot that we knew nothing about. We could certainly use the fuel because we spent a ton to get here, but it is almost enough to fully restock our fuel, so that's nice. It is only 50% though. Presumably, Igalik is the only other place to scan then. So we got something that was in the middle of nowhere, and assuming that this system abides by our common rule of one asset in the middle of nowhere, one asset on a planet, we, I think, did hit all these guys with the scan. That leaves just Igalik. But once again, before we do so, let's play it safe. No need to rush here. We'll save, and then we'll scan. Guess we might as well, like, scan for a little bit further away. Yes. There is something here. I feel like it's not often we see stuff popping up on the gas giants, but it did happen in this case. It is possible. It is possible. What is it, though? It's a Asari research ship, so yeah, getting a lot more war assets here. I suppose it makes sense, given how this is so close to the Asari homeworld, that there are a lot of Asari troops and resources and what have you that we might be able to get the support up from. Now remember, of course, we did attract Reaper attention, so as soon as we go out of this, Reapers are going to attack. So fortunately, we're right on the edge of the galaxy, no problem. Right on the edge of the system, I should say. So that's 100% explored now. 55% of assets recovered. Wow. That must mean there's a whole lot more somewhere that we've missed. I mean, there is still one more system further to the south that we can head to now. And this is the one that's way over here. We missed one asset in Vernio. But surely that's not enough to drop us down as low as we saw. There's a chance there's some stuff in the Asari home system, but we couldn't find it, so maybe that's the reason why. I mean, we'll have a better sense once we hopefully find everything here, just how much there is remaining. First we have Beness. The ice giant Beness is the outermost gas giant of the Tomorrow system. It likely formed much closer to the system star and migrated outward over time. A debris field of scrap metal near the planet suggests Reapers have been here. Okay, we saw in basically all the systems in this cluster, there's been some garden planet that has had some sort of population on it. Was that the case in the previous one, or did we only hear about the planet that theoretically was... No, it had the planet with a lot of oxygen in it, right? And they had to use masks to live there, but otherwise it was possible. We have Pronoia next. Pronoia? Pronoia is a methane ammonia gas giant, notable for the large deposits of platinum discovered by Lucia Colnis on its largest moon. Lucia is probably going to be the major planet here. Asari have been selling the precious metal, used in some medical equipment, to the Serta Foundation for less than its market value. The discount may have single-handedly saved Serta from bankruptcy, a debt that is rapidly being repaid galaxy-wide through Serta's humanitarian efforts. Serta is the company that has created Metagel. Reaper presence in the system has no doubt cut off supplies to the Foundation. Oh. That's not good. We need our Metagel. Then there's Neogolon. Neogolon is a hydrogen-helium gas giant. The Reapers have destroyed its fueling infrastructure. Seems like there's a lot of gas giants here. During the Lucia campaign that started the Krogan rebellions... Oh. Okay. Neogolon was the site of Krogan overlord Kredak's ultimate defeat. As his flagship was discharging its drive core and undergoing repairs, an Asari commando team snuck on board and detonated resonant warp bombs, sacrificing their lives to destroy the vessel through explosive decompression. That's intense. Okay, here is Lucia, the planet we've heard so much about. The Krogan rebellions began in the Asari colony of Lucia. After centuries of unabated expansion, the Krogan finally forced the Council's hand when they tried to annex this world. Aware that in a generation, Lucia could be a staging base for an invasion of Thessia, which of course would have been a huge problem if the Krogan started to try to make moves on the Asari homeworld, the Council came to the colony's defense. They cut the Krogan supply lines off at Thessia's mass relay and inflicted heavy casualties. The Krogan here surrendered, but others across the galaxy were enraged. Lucia became the catalyst for a much greater war. More than a millennium later, Lucia finds itself once again in danger. Though the Asari have lost the high ground of space, oh no, don't tell that to Obi-Wan, the colony's web defense grid remains at least partially functional. Land, sea, and air forces are striking wherever they can, determined to resist until the end. And okay, in this case, even older colony than the ones we were looking at before, it's 505 BCE, and in this case, over a billion, 2.2 billion for the population, so it is quite significant, the number of people here. And I suppose it's understandable given how Earth-like atmosphere, Earth-like temperature, relatively Earth-like gravity as well. It's not bad. Not bad. Okay, so where do we scan in this system? Again, it's another relatively small one. Can we get Grady and perhaps hit all these planets if we scan here? Oh, well that's not good. That's a good instance of, not sure if that scan had enough range to hit all those planets. It kind of looked like it. It also kind of didn't. So I think we probably do need to scan Pronoia, because it's the only one that we can say definitively that we did not get there. We might have gotten all these, but I can't say for certain, but we should probably at least check here. Again, before doing so, since this is probably going to trigger the Reapers, we should save. And unfortunately, I do think there were some Reapers right on top of this. Okay, but we did find something here. Yes, there are going to be Reapers right on top of us. So, let's scan, and then bolt as soon as we're done here. Okay, let's check it out. In this case, it's Asari cruiser Nephrane, another potentially big war asset. And remember, we gotta go. Coming from everywhere except the south. So let's go south.
Jump successful.
What? Alright, there's only 50%. There's more there. So we've only gotten 2/3 of the resources in this system. So that's part of the reason why we wanted to scan aggressively here, was because, well, we got Reapers chasing us out of several different systems, and so that will only reset once we finish a mission. And so now that we have done a lot of exploration here, we may be able to come back here on a later occasion after I've finished another mission. And we actually do still have some fuel remaining, thankfully. I suspected that perhaps there would still be some things in here. The Reapers are not interested in our activities here. Like, we could just be super greedy
I found something.
and see if there are resources in the system, because in fact there are. We were talking before about how it seemed like we were never finding anything where there were homeworld planets, but not the case this time. So what do we have here? Asari cruiser Sabaean. I mean, that's tons of Asari war assets here. I have to imagine this has made a pretty significant improvements on our Asari war asset score. Okay, that is 100% of assets here in this system, so that makes more sense. Because we'd been fairly thorough with our scans, and yet it still said that we were on a pretty low number there. Now we're on to 77%, so we've made good progress there, but I think perhaps it is time for us to look elsewhere. So, I mean, like, originally planning on doing the scanning stuff so we could find one of those quest items, turn it in, and then get some money so we could buy the Crusader. I'm not so sure that that's gonna happen, given how we don't have much left to scan here right now. So, yeah. Unless we do go to the Nimbus cluster, where we definitely have a mission that I don't think we want to do just yet. But I think we definitely did have a mission that people were telling us about here, right? I know we've been doing a lot of planet scanning recently, but I think it is probably worth taking a quick look over here. Okay, so the Asari colony is over there in the Masada system. Oh, there's this system, Masana, Agayo, Hellenes. There's at least 4, if not more, over here, depending on if there's anything further south. No, there's 4 total. So yeah, there's potentially a whole lot here as well. So let's start with Aitis. The rock and ice planet, Aitis, his position was ideal for collecting data on extrasolar activity. Once again, this is, at least of all the major Citadel species, closest to Asari space. It probably technically still is in Asari space, but at this point it's a little bit far away, borderline terminus systems. According to star charts, the Asari had a small VI-run system of satellites in geosynchronous orbit with the planet. This system broadcast the first warning that the Reapers had come through the mass relay, and mangled metal around the planet indicates that the Reapers did not appreciate their presence being advertised. Looks like next one in is Patagos. I think this is another system that another cluster on the whole that we just have never been to in the entire Mass Effect trilogy. So no inside info, no special theories as to where we might expect to run into stuff we can actually scan. So Tratagos, largely frozen ice except for liquid seas at the equator, Tratagos has the coldest winters of any Asari colony. Oh, there's a colony here? Ping it down near the second tier of habitability. Tratagos colonists are a hardy bunch, using the freezing winter months to test whether newcomers have what it takes to carve out a life on the planet. That is rough. That sounds like something that Krogan would do on Tuchanka. Tratego's colonists are fighting the Reapers in a guerrilla war, their best resource being submarine vehicles that can slip under the sea ice to mask their heat. Unfortunately, these have not proven good tools for taking back population centers from the Reapers, and for now, the colonists will have to be satisfied with commando actions to harass their synthetic oppressors. Talk of a colony here, yet no mention of the size of that colony. It is minus 42 degrees Celsius. It is quite cold. Okay. Next planet would be Sthenia. The most temperate planet in the solar system, Sthenia is a terrestrial world with a light atmosphere of nitrogen and argon. Aside from neighboring Trategos built mining operations around the southern pole after discovering mountains with veins of iridium and osmium. Okay, yeah, I mean, 34 degrees Celsius is nice, but the argon atmosphere is probably not making this livable. Then lastly, we have Zosteros. A dense atmosphere of nitrogen and carbon monoxide has turned Zosteros into a hothouse of enormous windstorms that blow toxic gases nonstop. Sounds like a wonderful place to be. Its most valuable deposits are cobalt and polonium, which netted it the number 3 spot on a list of amazingly poisonous planets on the popular vid show Your Awesome Galaxy. Quite the award to win. The Reapers appear to have destroyed the camera drones here, as well as any scientific stations the Asari may have maintained. Okay, it seems like this system as a whole does not have any major places in it, so I'm a little bit surprised that it attracted really any Reaper attention at all. I think we might try to hit a 2-for-1. I don't think we can hit a 3-for-1 scan here. So it's a matter of, do we like Aitis? Or do we like to scan Strategos? I think either way, Zosteros is going to be one of them because it's kind of in the middle. I think we kind of go like here.
Signal confirmed.
Oh, we got a bunch of things over here. So how are we doing on fuel right now? I think we're like 500-ish or so. Let's go Strategos first, see what this is all about. And in this case, intact Reaper weapon intel. So I believe that means something that we can get from the station in Liara's room with Glyph. They can give us a little bit of a bonus of some variety. Then basically almost, 25% assets recovered. So there's means there's 4 in here. That's like double what we usually see. I was wondering if perhaps it was worth deliberately not using this anomaly yet, because maybe we don't need the fuel. Like, we poke our head out here. Now we're on like 400. Yeah, we could use more fuel. We'll take it. And in this case, it's 750. What? That is definitely the biggest number we've seen, right? I don't think we've seen anything bigger than that. Okay, I also don't remember where the Reapers were supposedly coming from, so that's a little bit concerning. Yeah. We would like to scan. I'm thinking we scan Sthenia here. We tried scanning U2. I don't really want to scan Aitis when we don't know where the Reapers are coming in, because they might spawn in directly on top of us. I thought there were some coming from this general direction. This is kind of in the middle of the galaxy, which means the Reapers could surround us, but hoping we can react quickly enough that we can identify where the Reapers are coming in from and then flee in the opposite direction. Before we do so, let us save. Let us save. Is that a... I mean, we haven't tried just doing a general sweep of the empty spaces. See if we find anything else. We randomly happened to have gotten one, which was kind of nice. That was just luck. Oh, there's one. Okay, this is something. We should probably scan this just to confirm. Oh, not enough. Get Reaper attention. This is presumably fuel, and we are capped off right now, so this I think we do legitimately save. And I think that means that we assume 2 of the assets are in the middle of nowhere. 2 assets are on a planet. We found now 2 assets in the middle of nowhere, so the last one's probably on a planet. We would have hit Aitis with that scan, so I think that means, as I suspected, Cythenia is the planet we should scan here. And did I just hear something? Unless there's something right here. I mean, we'd get it with a scan in this area anyway. Yes, there is something here. There's definitely something here. I think. Unless we were, like, just barely getting close enough to hit that. I don't think so. There it is. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Huzzah. Except we're not going to get any of those things, because I think they're all fuel, and we are currently maxed out on fuel. Oh, except this is where the mass relay is. Yeah, so we shouldn't have done this in the system that has the mass relay in it. We should not have done this here. We should have finished with getting the Reapers mad here, because we need to eventually make our escape in this very system by going to that mass relay, and we're going to need to avoid Reapers as we do so. So we may have put ourselves in a really tough spot here. Okay. So we have that little pleasant surprise to look forward to when we head back there. For right now, we are looking to head over to one of the other systems. I'm not thinking we go Masada yet. I think that is a mission that we're going to deliberately do a little bit later on. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough fuel to do both Agayao and Kalini in one fell swoop, unless we happen to get some fuel here. That's a pretty huge star, very bright as well, and Holly looks like it is practically a second star right there. So let's start with the planets. There aren't many of them. There's Carcosa. Carcosa was thought to be a naturally occurring hothouse planet until an Asari expedition discovered palatial ruins on its barren surface. Likely the seat of an ancient city, the crumbling edifice dates back more than 2.7 million years. The only intact chamber appears to be a throne room overlooking a large depression believed to have once been an enormous lake. There is evidence that the people of Carcosa polluted their planet until it became uninhabitable, triggering a runaway greenhouse effect and spoiling the planet's freshwater supply. Research into the planet's long history will have to wait. Asari scientists evacuated when word of the Reaper attack reached the system, leaving behind data drones to explain their findings to anyone who survives. It does sound very intriguing. But this looks very intriguing. Halley over here. Halley is an orange dwarf star. It is a star, technically. The cool companion to Agayo, a yellow-white F-class star that is the primary source of mass and light in the system. It's pretty huge. Oh, there's this out here. I didn't even see. Near gas. Doesn't even have a ring for its orbit. What's your deal? Near gas is an icy planet far from the system's twin suns. Star charts indicate that near gas is really far gas, once orbited the binary star in a figure 8 pattern that proved too unstable to maintain. The planet is now hurtling out of the system. Oh, perhaps that's why it doesn't have a ring for its orbit, because it is not currently orbiting. It is on a trajectory to get thrown out of the system. Orbital distance NA currently 26.6 AU from Halley, and it's only going to increase as it gets thrown out. I'm tempted to... There's a lot of things here that I'd like to scan. All those planets, they are all very far away. A lot of empty space here, of course. And we are very much in need of fuel. So remember, if we run out of fuel, we will get automatically teleported back to the base system, or the system with the mass relay in it, which is, of course, currently being overrun by Reapers. So that could lead to some not so pleasant results. I'm not sure we can do much better by going there manually. I think we can control what side of the system we spawn in on. I don't know if the Reapers that spawned in initially will respawn in the same place when we return to the system, because I vaguely remember there's one in the top right corner, or 2 in the top right corner, I think, generally in the right side, and then 1 in sort of bottom left. So I don't know, like straight from the top might be the best angle to approach that system from, but I could very well be wrong. I don't necessarily remember all that well. I didn't really hear anything here. Alright, I think we gotta scan near gas. There's nothing on near gas. Fortunately, there's not much Reaper attention here.
I found something.
Okay, there we go. Arcos does have stuff, and Reapers cared a lot more about that scan. I'm hoping this is the only thing we get here. But if it is, then that means not gonna be much in the way of fuel to make our return trip. Excuse me, where is it? This time, it is Library of Asia. This is the quest item that we were looking for. So that is one of the big things we wanted. Yes, that is the only asset here. So that means at least we don't need to do any additional scanning. However, we have, okay, for some reason I thought we used way more fuel than that. We have 785. Is that enough to make it to, not Masana, but the cluster that is on the opposite side of this, or the system that is on the opposite side of this cluster? It may be. Remember, if we run out, we'll get teleported back to Pelion, which is currently overrun by Reapers. So that's a problem for that reason. Let's have a backup plan. Let's have a backup plan. Then we'll make our move. Is this going to be sufficient? If it isn't, then we gotta dart for the mass relay as soon as possible. We are definitely not going to have enough fuel to get back. I don't think we're going to have enough fuel to get back to Pelion. Oh, did I hear something? I could have sworn I did. Or was it just that we were close to Pania? No, there is something here. Let's try to get Pania as well.
Signal confirmed.
Okay. Reapers have noticed. We'll take it, because assuming this is fuel, we do certainly still need it. And it's 300, which should definitely be enough to at least get us back to the system we're trying to get back to. Pania, though. Let's see. Oh, and it's 100% recovered, I think it's also purely just for interest here, to see what the deal is with these two planets. A rock planet exploited for minerals by robo-miners, Pania was named for an ancient mythological Asari hero. Her music was so stirring that the goddess Athame granted Pania anything her heart desired. Remember, Athame is the goddess that all the Asari talk about. Differing legends reflect the variety of hero cults of the time. In some stories, she became the first ruler of Armali, while others claim Pania took to the stars with Athame herself. Robo-miners' orbital stations here have been destroyed. A number of life pods can be detected, but most are in the red, indicating that their oxygen ran out long ago. Unfortunate. Oh, there's this planet out here that I didn't even see. Lemnia. As with Pania, Lemnia has mining facilities in orbit, remotely controlling machines on the planet's surface to recover Lemnia's highly valued transuranic elements. I don't know what that means. Ultimately, the miners made no secret of their presence, and to find all traces of them and wipe them out, all the Reapers needed to do was access the extranet. Oh, I see what you're saying. They were not very discreet. Then Ithrone, or Ithrone. Vast swaths of Ithrone's surface are covered in thick ash, spewed into the air by chains of volcanoes across the planet. Beneath this layer of soot, Ithrone has an iron core and significant levels of cobalt in its crust. Okay, it's also super hot. So yeah, 100% explored means we are good to go here. All we have left would be the Masana system and one thing we missed in Pelion, although I think we scanned it, we just didn't pick it up. Most importantly, there are Reapers there. And so once again, this is the tough part. Is I technically don't know what is going to happen when we try to revisit the system. Is there going to be a delay before the Reapers spawn in, or are they quite literally going to be there immediately, in which case they might spawn directly on top of us, in which case we did. Because if we come at them from this angle, I think we will truly enter the system from the top right corner. The mass relay is on the right side, a little bit on the lower right side, so perhaps we deliberately overshoot ever so slightly and approach from the bottom right-ish section of the system and just try to make a beeline straight for the mass relay before any Reapers can rush us down, even if I do think some of the Reapers are going to spawn in that general area, because I thought I remembered, at least initially, that was where they spawned, and I assume that they spawn in the same place they spawned initially when you re-enter the system, but I could be wrong about that. So we'll give it a shot. We're going to test it out. So yeah, we're going to deliberately overshoot here ever so slightly and go like this. And there is a bit of a delay, thankfully. Ooh. In fact, we might have even had time to get that fuel before we headed out. But, okay, we're not 100% explored because there is that fuel, and there is the one system where there's definitely a side quest that we've not yet been to. But we're going to hold off on that because we can at least turn in one quest at this point for some extra monies at the Citadel. I think this is still overrun right now at the Valhalla Threshold. So I don't think we can explore that last part. I think everything else is fully explored, so many of those side quests that we've heard about, perhaps we just don't have access to those areas yet where we can find the stuff. Unless... anything in... hold on. Oh, no, that's not the right place to be exiting and taking a moment to check your quest log. No, let's just chill in the Serpent Nebula, maybe, and there we'll check to see if we know of any specific locations where we have side quests to explore stuff with. Okay, so now that the Reapers aren't chasing us down, let us take a moment to open up our journal and see if we can confirm as to whether we have any specific locations where we might find some things, like Takuna. I don't think we know where that is yet. Or if we do, perhaps we were there and we scanned it and we didn't yet have the ability to collect the quest item in question. This is the one that we just picked up. Citadel ones are not going to be relevant to us. Hades Nexus, not to be confused with Hades Gamma. We do have access to Hades Gamma. We don't have access to Hades Nexus. There are two in the... oh. Did we get this one? Because we were in the Athena Nebula. But I don't know if we got that one. Again, Hades Nexus. I think there's a lot there. If I remember correctly, that was popping up a whole lot. This is the colony. Dreadnought is the main mission. Cillian Nebula. Don't think we can go there yet. Okay. So I think that's everything from an exploration standpoint, at least of the stuff so we can do right now. So let's make a quick trip back to the Citadel. And we know what? Hold on. Where's the person? Where on the Citadel is the person in question located? Or people in question, if we have in fact done both of those? This person for sure. She's in Purgatory. Okay. This was the Asarian Purgatory. Let's chat with her. Let's scan the Citadel. It made a noise. Excuse me? You're like highlighting multiple places simultaneously. Let's go to the Alliance docks and Dock 42 simultaneously.
Clear to dock, Normandy. Do you need ground transport?
So yeah, we would like to go to Purgatory.
I'm headed to Purgatory.
We'll have a cab ready for you.
Okay, this is the door through. We don't yet have your thing. But
Heavy armor keep you safe? I've watched reports on some of the things you're fighting.
Well, it won't stop a Reaper, but an extra second of shielding can be life or death.
So Vortex makes good shield capacitors?
The best. They don't skimp on plating either. I love it.
Sounds like you want to get back out there to try it out.
You know? A little. Can't wait to show it off to the team. Maybe I can take point more often now.
Oh, actually, you see, it is usually good for the Krogan to take point rather than the Slayers, because the Slayers tend to be the weakest in terms of their effective HP. But you do you, man. This is the Asari we're looking for, I think.
I've recovered some tech from a library in Reaper-controlled space. I can have them waiting for you at Bay D-24 if that would help.
Really? Oh, damn. Couldn't hurt. Thank you.
Nice.
Maybe those texts will help the Asari remember how to fight again.
Okay, so we got some credits. We got some war assets as well. We are close to the credits number we're looking for, but we are not there yet. We are very close, like one more of those side quests away, kind of close. That is a little bit painful. There's that other one that I wasn't 100% sure as to whether we had picked it up or not. The one about the Athena Nebula, I think, because we did go there. But it might be worth taking a quick stop off at the hospital just to see if we have in fact done that. 'Cause I think that was one of the places where we didn't necessarily get absolutely everything. That might have unfortunately been one of the things that we missed, but this is a way to confirm.
One moment, please.
Okay, was it
Now
you?
arriving at
I think it was
Memorial
you.
Hospital.
And the fact that it is not currently telling us that we can speak to you and turn something in suggests to me that we have perhaps not completed the thing that I would have liked to have completed. So this is unfortunate. Unless you are elsewhere. Not you? No? I think it is that Asari. I remember speaking to that Asari about a quest. I just don't know specifically if it was this quest in particular that she had sent us on. But I think it was. Yeah. So, in that case, fine. Be that way. I mean, now that we're back on the Citadel, is there anything relatively quick we might be able to do that might just bump us over that 125,000 threshold? Perhaps? Like, say... Right, we didn't find the last of the Metagel dispensers, it seemed. The refugee camp. Thought we got them all, but I guess we missed one? So maybe that's worth making a quick stop off at the docks and seeing if we can... holding area specifically at the docks and seeing if we can make something happen there.
Now arriving at
Oh,
Docking Bay
refugee camp doctor. That looks important.
Emergency housing.
Where exactly were they, though? I assume that you were pointing at something through the wall. Yeah, nurse over here.
Pressure's okay. No infection so far.
What's the deal?
Can I talk to him?
Only if it's important, Commander.
Oh, it's the
He's
Batarian
hurt
who
bad.
was injured.
Take down the sedative a bit, but hurry. I peg his survival at 50-50.
It was the guy who's supposedly actually a terrorist.
Are you Gorek?
Go away. Nothing to say.
Not even what a terrorist is doing on the Citadel?
You!
Do I know you?
Every Batarian with someone on Aratok remembers your face.
Hmm?
The planet that got caught in the Alpha Relay explosion.
Oh.
You butchered a colony, only regret. Don't have the strength to.
I mean, yes, we may have blown up an entire system full of Batarians, but it was to stop the Reapers, so that totally makes it okay, right? I said not really, but still, it was kind of sacrifice that we had to make.
I destroyed Eratot's relay to stop the Reapers from pouring through.
Ha! Easy for you to claim now that they're here. Don't pretend you have any remorse.
I mean, it was a necessary evil.
You think I didn't feel guilty? I destroyed a colony. I've thought about the people who died. About how I couldn't warn them in time. In the end, I didn't have a choice. But I'm sorry. If that means anything.
If you're so remorseful, if you have any real guilt, show some mercy. Unplug this machine. Let me join my family.
Ooh, wow. Wow. Okay, now that's a question. Ooh. It is his wish to do so, but of course, it's a life support machine. By shutting off the life support machine, he would die. I mean, we just heard the nurse say, just a brief conversation with him, and he was given this guy a 50-50 chance of surviving. Whereas, alternatively, we can call the nurse and maybe tell the nurse that he's made such a request, but perhaps more so just say to the nurse, hey, you should make sure that this guy's doing okay. Of course, morally, some serious questions there in terms of, do you support this motion? It is what he wants to do, but at the same time, I mean, it does mean he is going to die. You know, are we murdering him in this case? Are we not? Because we have his consent to murder him? Kind of, sort of, but that very idea by itself seems kind of contradictory. So it's a tough one. I think that is actually something very similar to what we had happen to us at one point in Mass Effect 1 when we were on a sort of abandoned spaceship, right? I think it was an abandoned ship. Was that one where there was a crazy lady and either her brother or her significant other, I think, who was in some kind of serious medical condition and was on life support, and there was no sign that they were ever going to recover from it. They'd been hooked up for an extended period of time. And yes, it was one where they had to shut down other components of the ship just to conserve enough power to keep the life support going as they were drifting off, you know, in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, that eventually means that the entire crew died. In fact, the crazy lady might have killed them all. And then at the end, we had to fight the crazy lady, and we were faced with a similar choice here. Either shut off the life support, or let them be. In that case, the person was unconscious, I believe, although we might have had some logs that were sort of describing the situation to us at the time, whereas in this case, we're hearing directly from the person that they want us to do so. So, it's tough, and there are, I'm sure, many theories about what is and is not the right decision to make here, but I think we'll go for it.